Everyone, it's Miss Fogarty here. We are reading lesson number 7 in our immigration unit, and the title is called A Mosaic of Immigrants. When we read today, there are 4 vocab words. Actually, there's only 3 today. Wow, we got lucky that we're on the hunt for. The first word is descendants. Descendants are people that are related to early ancestors. So your grandparents, you are your grandparents' descendants. You are your great-great-grandparents' descendants. So people that came before you, you're considered a descendant. The second word is famine. A famine is a great shortage of food. So it's a lack of water over many years or a lack of a certain food over many years. That's when we're considered to have a famine. And the last word is settlers. Settlers are people who make their home in a new area or country. For example, the immigrant settlers in the Midwest turned the region into some of the finest farmland on earth. When I'm reading today, I want you guys to be listening carefully to see what else you can learn about immigration. And I want you to listen to find out how immigration today is similar to and different from immigration stories that you've heard thus far. The United States is a nation of immigrants. Many of the people who live in the United States today left their homelands in their home countries to come to America. Those who are not immigrants themselves can probably point to ancestors who came from the United States as immigrants in earlier times. Some can point to a mother or a father who immigrated to the United States. They might have a grandparent or a great-grandparent who came to the United States as an immigrant. Others have to reach back a little bit further in their family's history. So something that you can do at home is you can go to mom or dad or grandma or grandpa and you can ask them if they know of what country their ancestors immigrated from, and you can find out a lot about your family history that way. The people who have lived in North America the longest are Native Americans. Their ancestors are the first known people to live in what is now called the United States. They made their way from Asia into North America thousands of years ago. The Native Americans spread out across the northern and southern Americas. Today, many Native Americans' descendants live all across the United States. For many years, the people of Europe did not know that the Americas existed. Europe and the Americas were 2 separate worlds. The voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1492 changed that. After these voyages, Europeans began to come and settle in the Native American lands of North and South America. The earliest immigrants came from a handful of countries in Northern Europe. Many came from England and Scotland, but there were settlers from other countries as well. Some came from France and Spain. Others came from Germany and the Netherlands. They settled down and made their homes in this new land called America. Many of the earliest settlers who fought in the Revolutionary War could point to ancestors from one of these 6 countries. Later, immigrants began to come to the United States from these countries in Europe, and still later, they began to arrive from all different parts of the world. Why do people become immigrants? Why do they leave the countries they were born in? And why have so many of these people been drawn to the United States? Usually there's something that pushes immigrants out of their homeland, and usually there is something that pulls them to the United States. So remember those push and those pull factors. Reasons people leave are called push factors, and things that draw them into a new country are pull factors. The Pilgrims who came to New England in the 1600s felt both pushed out of their homeland and pulled to the United States, although it wasn't called the United States at the time. They were pushed to leave England because the English king would not allow them to practice their religion in the way that seemed best to them. They were pulled to North America because they believed that they would have religious freedom there. The Scottish people who came to America in the late 1700s also felt these push and pull factors. Many of them were pushed off of the land they farmed by landowners who wanted to use that land to raise sheep. They were pulled to American colonies because in America they could get their own farmland to use. Many of the Irish who came to the United States in the 1840s and 50s came because of the famine in Ireland. All across Ireland, potatoes went bad. They turned black and shriveled up. They were not good to eat, and many of the Irish people starved because of this. Many were pushed out of their homeland because of this famine. The Irish heard there were farms in the United States. These stories helped pull them into the United States. So they were suffering a great stress that they didn't have food to eat in the United States or in Ireland. But at the same time, that was pushing them out. But they learned that in the United States, there were farms and jobs that they could own. So they were also pulled into the United States as well. Many of the Chinese immigrants who came to the United States in the 1840s and 50s were pushed out of their homeland because they were poor. Some were pulled to the United States by the prospect or probability of finding gold in the mountains of California. Others were drawn here by jobs by building railroads. Most of these immigrants saw America as a land of opportunity. It was a place where separatists would have the opportunity to practice the religion they wanted in their own way. It was a place where the Irish would have an opportunity to work on railroads or to work in their communities and other jobs. Many groups of people were able to own their own land and provide for their families. Today, immigrants continue to come to the United States from all over the world, and many other countries such as Mexico, China, India, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, Ethiopia, and Russia. Over 1 million immigrants arrive each year from these and many other countries. That is about 3,000 or 4,000 people a day. This read aloud will last for only about 15 minutes. By the time I've finished, 30 or 40 people will have immigrated to the United States. Today's immigrants no longer come into the United States through Ellis Island and Angel Island. Many immigrants today arrive by plane, though some still come by boat or in a car or on foot. Many people leave their homeland because they're not able to live and to work in safe and healthy conditions. Some people must leave their countries because of the problems in their government or dangers of war. People all around the world continue to come to the United States and think of it as the land of opportunity. They see the United States as a place where people can make a new life for themselves, a fresh start. They can get education, find jobs, and medical care, and they can create a new life for themselves and their families. They can contribute their skills and work hard in the communities in which they live. As in the past, new immigrants still face challenges or difficulties in their new country. Today's immigrants must still say goodbye to loved ones in their homeland. Crazy. So as in the past, new immigrants still face challenges or difficulties in their new country. Today's immigrants must still say goodbye to the ones they love in their homelands and make new friends in the United States. It takes time to become familiar with new ways of living. The food, the language, the weather, and the ways of getting around might be different. Immigrants sometimes can use help getting used to their new life here in the United States. It is still common for immigrants to settle in cities. Many immigrants move to places where others from their homeland have settled and can help these newcomers find jobs and places to live. Here, they can continue to share familiar customs and traditions, even as they learn the new ways of their life in their new country. In this way, many and new delicious foods are introduced. People can enjoy a variety of festivals and traditions from their countries. New forms of art and music become part of the communities. Workers bring new ideas and skills to their places of work. So immigrants that are coming to the United States today oftentimes settle in big cities because there's other people that have immigrated from the same city they've come from. So they get together and they still celebrate their customs of their old country. They don't like to leave that behind when they come here. This is a nickel. Do you see the words at the top of the nickel? The words say, e pluribus unum. Who remembers that lesson? That is a phrase from the Latin language. It means out of one, many. One of the powerful ideas about the United States is that it is a country where people from many different countries join together to form one nation. From many, one. We are united. We can think of the United States as a mosaic of people from many different countries. The place where people come from is an important part of who they are. To the mosaic, each person brings customs, talents, ideas, and hard work. Like the tiles of a mosaic, each person contributes to making one nation. From many, one. There are many songs that celebrate the unity or oneness of the American people. One of them is This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie. You may know some of the words to the song. It goes like this. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Does that sound familiar? California and the Redwood Forest are on the west coast. New York and the Gulf Stream waters are here on the east coast. Most of America lies between. What Woody Guthrie was trying to say is that this land belongs to all Americans. It is not just my country, it is your country. Wherever you may live in the United States, and also wherever your ancestors have come from. From the earliest Native Americans and those ancestors who came a long time ago from continents such as Europe, Africa, and Asia, through history until today, people have come to the land of what is now known the United States for many reasons. Many people who live in the United States today were immigrants themselves at one point. Others have parents or grandparents who were immigrants. Still, others have ancestors who they never knew who immigrated to America long ago. More than almost anywhere else on the planet, the United States is a nation of immigrants and their descendants, a beautiful mosaic of people who have come to America from all over the world. So I want to challenge you to go to your parents or to your grandparents